90% of people think they understand Sigma males, but what they actually understand is just the surface. They see the silence, the distance, the independence, and they quickly label it as arrogance, coldness, or a lack of social skills. But that's the biggest mistake, because what looks simple on the outside is far more complex on the inside. A Sigma male is not quiet because he has nothing to say. He's quiet because he thinks before he speaks. He's not distant because he doesn't care. He's selective about where he puts his energy. And he's not alone because he has no options. He's alone because he refuses to stay where he doesn't belong. Most people misunderstand him because they judge based on reactions, and he doesn't react like everyone else. While others chase attention, he moves in silence. While others seek validation, he builds it within. And while others follow the crowd, he walks his own path. That difference creates confusion, and that confusion turns into judgment. But the truth is, the Sigma male is not trying to be understood. He's focused on understanding himself. And once you reach that level, you stop needing approval, you stop explaining your moves, and you start moving with a level of control that most people will never fully understand. People confuse silence with weakness. Most people are used to noise. They associate confidence with talking more, reacting faster, and making their presence obvious in every situation. So when they see someone who is quiet, who doesn't rush to speak, who doesn't react to everything, they assume something is missing. They think it's weakness, insecurity, or a lack of confidence. But a Sigma male understands that silence is not the absence of strength, it's a form of control. He doesn't speak just to fill space or prove something. He listens, observes, and processes before he says anything, and that changes the way he moves. While others are reacting emotionally, he is thinking. While others are trying to be heard, he is choosing his words carefully. His silence allows him to see more, understand more, and avoid unnecessary mistakes. It gives him an advantage most people don't realize, because when you're not constantly talking, you start noticing things others miss. You pick up on tone, behavior, and patterns that reveal the truth behind situations. And when he finally speaks, it has weight. People listen differently because they know he's not speaking without reason. That's why his silence is not weakness. It's discipline, awareness, and control combined into one mindset. They think Sigma is antisocial. Most people believe that if someone is not constantly surrounded by others, not engaging in every conversation, or not seeking attention, then there must be something wrong. They quickly label him as antisocial, distant, or uninterested in people. But that assumption comes from misunderstanding what they're seeing. A Sigma male is not antisocial, he is selective. He doesn't avoid people because he can't connect. He avoids meaningless interactions because he values his time and energy. While others are comfortable with surface-level conversations just to feel included, he looks for depth. If a conversation has no value, no purpose, or no real connection, he would rather stay silent than force engagement. This creates confusion. People think he doesn't like being around others, but in reality, he just doesn't feel the need to be around everyone. He chooses quality over quantity. A few real connections mean more to him than many empty ones. He can socialize when he wants. He can lead conversations, understand people, and connect deeply, but only when it feels real. He doesn't perform for acceptance, and he doesn't change himself to fit into groups. And that's the difference. He's not disconnected from people. He's disconnected from anything that lacks meaning. They misunderstand his independence. Most people measure independence in a very simple way. If someone doesn't ask for help, doesn't rely on others, and sits fine on his own, they assume he's distant or that he doesn't need anyone. But that's not how a Sigma male sees it. His independence is not rejection, it's self-sufficiency. He builds his life in a way where he can rely on himself first. Not because he doesn't value people, but because he doesn't want to depend on them for his stability. He handles his problems, makes his decisions, and moves forward without needing constant support. And that gives him a level of control that people don't have. But here's where people misunderstand him. They think he doesn't care about connection. They think he prefers to be alone all the time. In reality, he simply chooses relationships instead of needing them. If someone is in his life, it's because they add value, not because he can't function without them. That's what makes his independence powerful. It removes desperation. It removes fear of losing people. It allows him to walk away when something is not right without feeling lost, because his foundation doesn't depend on anyone else. And that's the difference most people don't see. He's not alone because he has no options. He's independent because he built himself that way. They don't see his internal discipline. Most people judge what they can see. They look at results, calm behavior, controlled reactions, independence, and assume it's natural, like it just comes easily. They think a Sigma male was always like that. But what they don't see is the work behind it. Because none of that is natural. It's built. A Sigma male trains himself daily. He learns to control his reactions instead of acting on impulse. He forces himself to stay focused when distractions are everywhere. He keeps going even when he doesn't feel like it. And over time, that consistency turns into discipline. But this discipline is internal. No one sees the moments where he chooses silence instead of reacting. No one sees the effort it takes to stay calm under pressure. No one sees the decisions he makes when he's alone, when there's no audience, no recognition, no reward. And that's why people misunderstand him. They see the outcome, but not the process. They think his calmness is just personality. They think his focus is just luck. But in reality, it's the result of control, repetition, and self-awareness built over time. That's what separates him. Because while most people rely on mood and motivation, he relies on discipline. And discipline doesn't show itself loudly, but it shapes everything. They judge based on reactions. Most people understand others based on how they react. If someone gets angry, they assume he cares. If someone argues, they think he's strong. If someone shows emotions openly, they believe he's real. In their mind, reactions equal authenticity. But a Sigma male breaks that pattern. He doesn't react the way people expect. When something happens, he doesn't immediately show emotion. He doesn't rush to defend himself, argue, or prove a point. Instead, he pauses, he observes, he chooses, and that's where the misunderstanding begins. People see his lack of reaction and assume he's weak, uninterested, or unaffected. They think silence means he has nothing to say. But the truth is, he's simply in control of what he shows. Because he understands that reacting to everything gives others control over you. If someone can trigger you, they can influence you. If every situation gets an emotional response, you lose clarity. So instead of reacting automatically, he decides when it's worth engaging and when it's not. That makes him harder to read, harder to manipulate, and harder to understand. Because while most people reveal themselves through constant reactions, he reveals nothing unless he chooses to. And in a world driven by reaction, that level of control looks unusual, but it's powerful. At the end of the day, the Sigma male is not misunderstood because he is complicated. He is misunderstood because he is different. He doesn't follow the usual patterns people expect. He doesn't react the same way, he doesn't seek the same things, and he doesn't move with the same mindset. And that difference creates confusion. But the truth is, he's not trying to fit in or be understood by everyone. He's focused on understanding himself, controlling his path, and staying true to his standards. And once you reach that level, you stop explaining, you stop proving, and you simply move with clarity. If this made you see things differently, make sure to subscribe for more content on mindset and psychology. Now ask yourself, are you following the crowd or creating your own path?